Yes. Ooh, she changes color.
Wow.
Thank you guys so much for coming back to another episode. My name is Andrea. What's your name?
Oh, I'm MJ.
That's exciting. Okay, anyways, back to normal. If you're an audio listener, oh, sorry, it just unplugged.
See? There you go.
Hold on. If you're an audio listener,
Andrea
down.
was messing around with her I guess, is it a ring light or something? It had a bunch of different colors. She was switching through, and then after she was done dinking around with it, it unplugged itself. So that's how we're starting off the podcast today.
Wait, now I can't turn it on. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
A little bit of technical difficulties. That's what you get for having fun.
It's honestly self-inflicted, so sorry. I was just having a little fun. Anywho, we're back for a pretty short episode, probably, I would say, because we only had F1 racing. Can you believe NASCAR had the nerve to take a week off?
This is the only weekend they take off. They took it off because of Easter, but boy, do I miss them. Boy, do I miss NASCAR.
Do they think that they have, like, a right to, like, visit with their families or something like that? It's like,
Apparently.
What am I supposed to watch? Guys, get it together. But they did have an Xfinity race, which I find interesting, where it's like, you guys need to travel around. But the NASCAR
and they did
guys,
trucks, too.
Yeah. That's crazy. Anyways, just a little admin stuff. Be sure to subscribe and rate the podcast 5 stars on whatever platform you listen to if you haven't already. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the video after you watch it. Another admin note. So next week, we are going to be uploading like normal on the 28th. However, the week after, the first episode of May, that is after Miami GP, and me and MJ are going to the Miami GP. So I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be getting the podcast on May 5th, guys. It's just probably not going to happen, but we will still upload it. It'll just be probably later in the week. We also plan on having a YouTube exclusive released that day. So if you're like usually just a listener on Spotify or Apple or something like that, check out our YouTube. We'll have a video up that you can still enjoy on your Monday if you're looking for something to watch. It just won't be the regular podcast. To make it up to you guys, we do have a lapped traffic that we're going to be posting on Wednesday this week with literally such a special guest. It's such a good episode. I was editing it and I was giggling. I think it's so good. And if you're going to the Miami GP and you see us, feel free to come up and say hi. Just don't sneak up on MJ. She startles easily, and she will dart.
Easily.
And we won't get her back. I don't know where she'll go. But I will have some laps down stickers and stuff like that on me that I would love to give to anybody that's going to the Miami GP that sees us and listens to the pod. On that note, would we like to talk about F1?
Let's get into it.
Okay. Anyways, so we had we had practice sessions. The only thing that really happened in the practice sessions was Yuki had a little crash, just a little one. Did you see Kyle Kirkwood, I believe, had something to say on X about Yuki's crash?
Yeah. He defended him. I don't remember what it was specifically, but I just remember being like,
it was like the
two
wall.
of my faves.
Yeah, he was saying, like, the wall wasn't, like, straight. He was like, you can see, like, where they, like, put the wall together. Like, it obviously has joints where they, like, combine all the pieces. And he was like, you can see that the joint on the wall is, like, jutting out. And I was like, okay, whatever you say, race analysis master.
You know what?
Kyle
So
Kirkwood.
real.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stick with that.
I think it's funny. There's like a NASCAR race where they said something similar one time. They were like, "Oh, off this turn, like the wall just like juts out."
Bowman Gray, remember? How like it was like
what?
turn 4. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's actually where the seats are." It's like, okay, that's not how you make an oval.
I would like the walls to be generally straight. Like, I guess it's tough when you're a driver and you think you know like how the wall should go based on like your idea of like spatial awareness, and then like the wall was just kind of out like a touch more. And so Yuki fucked up the front tires in practice, but they were able to fix it and get him out in qualifying, no problem. For qualifying, we had Gabriel Bortoleto have a little spin and he was out in Q1. we'll talk about his, like, well, we can talk about it. He also had a pretty bad race where he almost took out Fernando Alonso. It was funny in the cool down room. Oscar said, like, oh, Gabriel Bortoletto's going to have to find a new ride home. Because I guess Fernando, because he's his manager, is
Fernando, joked about, yeah, I'm not buying dinner for Gabby anymore, which was really funny.
But I don't know. I feel so bad because I feel like Gabriel Bortoletto is a really great driver, so I want to just blame everything on the steak. But it's also, hard to know if he's a good driver because he's driving a steak.
He had fuel, he sat out of one of the practices because of fuel pump issues. So, he was doomed from the start. I fear this was never going to be poor guy's weekend. But he kept up with Nico the whole race, who was also in a stake, though.
Right.
There was, one instance where they swapped positions. But, for the most part, it's you performed how you would perform in a stake. So I can't hold too much against him. Besides, trying to take out Fernando. But that's a different issue.
It's just really hard when these rookies start in, really shit cars. Because even if he does go to another team, he's already at a disadvantage comparatively to all these other rookies who are in drivable pieces of equipment. So, I don't know. I genuinely feel bad for him. Yeah, he obviously didn't make it out of Q1. I did hear something interesting. So, I think it was maybe at the end of Q2 going into Q3, Lance Stroll was eliminated by a very fine margin. And the announcers played they played a radio of Aston Martin being we're checking everybody's track limits just to make sure that we're not going to go to Q3 because it was such a tight margin that maybe if we can get another lap deleted, then we could be in. Apparently, there's a position on every team now that's specifically to find mistakes that other teams have done and then tattle to the FIA. Now, I don't know if this has always been a thing, but the announcers made it sound like it's as of this year, every team has a paid position that is an FIA tattler. And they personally scrub through all of the footage to see if anybody had track limits that they could tattle on them for. In fact, they're the ones who tattled on Nico last week. Aston Martin. They tattle on. They are the FIA. They go and look and see if anybody had track limits. But I just think that is so interesting. Would you do that job?
Me? No. I'm not that detail oriented. But we kind of talked about it. Was it well, yeah, I think it was last week where if you don't tattle, the likelihood of you getting a penalty, even if it's I don't know, not a penalty, you've got to tattle or the FIA just doesn't do their job from what we've seen. So maybe it is. Maybe that's a necessary position. Although it does make me feel like some of these teams could be spending money elsewhere.
I just think could you imagine if we had paid stewards? Instead of paying people on every team,
you know what,
to be the FIA, what if we just paid people to be the FIA?
Well, yeah, but the perk of this is the teams are paying the people to be the stewards instead of the FIA having to pay people to be the stewards.
That's exactly what MBS wants, actually. He's this is great. You guys pay for somebody to tattle, and then, maybe we'll give them a penalty in return because you were kind enough to point out, their issues. I think
did the
it's
job
crazy.
For us.
I personally would be
really
totally down, by the way. If any team is hiring a tattler, I would love to be a tattler. I think I would be so good at it. I think I would hop on the phone with the FIA and I'd be yeah, you're going to want to take a look at what the Aston Martin was up to. Timestamp 24 minutes and 38 seconds. Yeah, just going to want to open your eyes on camera 5 there, see what's happening. I think I'd be so good at it.
I wonder, is that a different job than the people who listen to all the other teams' radios?
I think so. I think the people that listen to all the other teams' radios are doing... I think that's probably somebody who has a different job, but then during the race only, they're listening to other radios. Because I think that's just for, pit strategy stuff. So I'm sure they do something else, every other time of the day. Wait, when you see wags in the garage wearing headphones and listening to radios, what if that's what they're doing? They're well, if you're going to be in here, you're going to have to work.
They're no, let me listen to the other channels. Let me see.
They're I was probably going to listen to my boyfriend's radio, and they're nope, you're on Lando duty today. Sorry.
I think that would be really funny. Actually, I would like, if I was a wag, I'd be like, I don't really care about his race. Like, what are the people at the front doing? I want to listen to a winning strategy, I think.
In this scenario, you've already decided that you're dating somebody who's bad at F1.
Dude, that's my type. That's my type, I fear.
Yeah, I love how this scenario, you just sidestepped any possibility that you'd be dating somebody at the front of the grid.
No, I know my lane.
No, that's so true. And then also in qualifying, we had a crash by Lando. I will say, the way F1 TV was airing it, I almost... I'm working on not cussing. I almost did a number 2 in my pants, okay? Because... Was that good?
That was really good.
Thank you. Watch, I'm going to play this back and edit and realize I've already cussed 7 times without even registering. But they were showing us Oscar driving, and then they just cut to somebody in the wall that obviously, I'm going to say it, they look suspiciously like Oscar, you know, because their cars look the same. And I literally was like, I blinked for 1 second. Like, what happened? I was just watching Oscar drive straight, and now he's in a wall. What happened? And then they're like, that's Lando. And I was like, oh. But then I realized the repercussion of this, like, I feel like I could feel like a shift in the universe, like watching him hit the wall. Like, they zoomed in on Zach Brown's face, and you could see him doing the, like, ooh, that's not our title fight.
Yeah, I think this was the defining moment, that crash in Q3. I felt the shift too. I was like, oh, it's been decided. Like, this is the sign that they're gonna finally, I mean, they have to face it. They have to face what has been in front of them this whole time, and they have to start favoring Oscar at this point.
I think it was like Zach Brown, he likes to play like silly goofy. He likes to play like, we're just a family, like everybody's part of the papaya family. But that man is a businessman, and he's here to get a return on an investment. And I feel like I could see the like money signs in his head of like, oh, I need a world drivers champion to like justify the cost of like this team, and like this is the car. We need a drivers champion out of this car. It's tough out there. I mean, I know a lot of people are Lando fans. I don't think that this means that like Lando is a bad driver necessarily, that he should just throw in the towel. It just means he's going to have to fight his own battle. I don't think McLaren's on his side anymore. He has to win the championship now. He's not going to get the favorable strategy. He's not going to get everything handed to him anymore. I think it's like Oscar is going to be getting that treatment, and Lando is going to have to be the one to fight back. And I'm curious if he does it. I don't know. I mean, he might like now have a fire, now that the pressure is off him, he might come back with like a fiery vengeance.
Yeah, he does best, weirdly enough, when there is like zero pressure on him. Like, some of his better races is when he starts from midfield or the back. But that's, unfortunately, championships are not won from midfield in the back. Well, at least not that I've seen. Not, I don't think, in this generation. I still think that Lando has like a whole battle that he has to fight before he even thinks about the World Drivers' Championship. Like, he has to... Even talking, like, his post-race interviews, whatever, which I'm sure we'll get into, it's like, no, I think there's more to this, like, than the car, than the team.
It's tough. I think that, I think him being the spotlight, him being the, like, this is our, like, the most favored to win the Drivers' Champion, I think that is not where he was going to ever succeed. I think about last year in Brazil, when it was like, this is his last opportunity to really close in on Max with points, because Max started with a 10-place grid penalty and Lando started on pole, and Lando did absolutely ass. And then suddenly it was like, okay, Max has clearly won the Drivers' Championship. The next race, Lando started driving like a fucking god. The moment Max basically won the championship and nobody was watching him anymore because it was like game over, all he had to care about was the Constructors' Champion. All of a sudden, Lando's driving like I've never seen him drive before.
But you can't win a championship like that.
No. I mean, you could win a Constructors' Championship like that, obviously.
Sure. But that's not what I assume that's not what he's interested in. Well, like, priority-wise.
And it's also, I'm trying to remember, it's a long season. We could play this clip back and we could look like dumbasses in 10 weeks because it could be that like George Russell is winning the championship by a mile or something. Like somebody could bring an upgrade. I don't know.
George Russell is winning the championship, what we said still stands, unfortunately. Unless Lando is winning the championship. Yeah, we can cut a clip from when we said that we think Mercedes is going to bring bomb upgrade. Maybe I shouldn't say bomb. I said it again.
You can say bomb.
Is bringing really good upgrades to Miami.
Sick and also maybe explosive upgrades.
They're bringing TNT. I'm kidding. I don't know what they're bringing.
We're trying to be brand friendly, guys. We also, at the end of Q3, had a triple header of some of the craziest qualifying laps I've ever seen in my life. It started with George, and the commentators were like, I don't know how he's done it. Like, George just put the nail in everybody's coffin. Like, he definitely has pull. And then literally 30 seconds later, it was like, psych, Oscar is a god. I don't even think anybody could possibly go faster than this. This is as fast as you're able to go around this course. And then the man himself, Max Verstappen, put in a banger of a qualifying lap. And the commentators were saying, like, is this even crazier than the Japan one? And I kind of think it is, because they played, like, the side, you know, the stupid ghost car. The Japan one was the one where we were like, he's the greatest driver of all time.
I feel like we did that a lot. I don't remember that far back, but I trust you.
Okay, so they showed today before the race, like the ghost car of their qualifying laps. Yeah. It was like Oscar and Max's, and Oscar was way ahead of Max in Sector 3, except for this one turn. Max brakes like so late. It's actually insane. He like gains back like a whole car length on Oscar, and then drag races to the end, and like that straight.
It was 1/100th of a second. That's what he beat him by.
And it was one turn. One turn. Whoa. He just breaks like a little bit later than Oscar.
I love Max and Oscar. This is my favorite. I think this is going to be my favorite championship battle. Max Oscar with like a side of like
George Russell.
Maybe George Russell. Like, this is my dream.
Every championship battle should have a side of George Russell. Like, I think it's just funny. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what are you up to, buddy?
George, he's so quiet. He's so underestimated, and everyone's like, he's probably gonna bin it on the second to last lap. And then it's like, oh, how did George get up there?
I love George Russell, but yeah, it was a banger of a qualifying lap. And what do you think about the ghost car? I love a little ghost car. I'm like, oh my god, the car's eating the ghost car. He's eating it. Oh no.
I enjoy the ghost car in F1, and I love it in NASCAR, too. I think they do it in IndyCar now, too.
Mm-hmm. Ghost cars all around.
I love that, because when you tell me 1/100th of a second, I go, okay, what does that mean?
Means nothing to me.
I don't care about numbers. I've never been in it for the numbers. Show me the ghost car.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the graphics that they do where it's like, here's what the separation is like between everybody's qualifying lap, and it'll show like the person who got pole, and then like right next to them it'll be the person that got the next lap, and then the next lap, and then there'll be like a huge gap, and then it's like that's where everybody else is that's not like one of the top 4 teams. And it makes me realize, I'm like, I believe like the Formula A and the Formula B, like there's 2 different races happening. You know what I mean? Like there's these people that are actually really good and are like trying to get pole, and then there's these doofuses back here just like trying to make it out of Q2,
like actively driving farm equipment on the course. Yeah,
I think it's really funny. But yeah, I think going into the race there was a lot of tension, I would say, because obviously Lando was upset about how things went in qualifying. Obviously Oscar like wanted to probably jump up and down and yell yippee, but like he can't do that because then it's like he's kind of a dick because the person in the garage right next to him ate shit. Sure. Ate and number 2. Sorry, gonna have to workshop that more. And I don't know. I think it was just very awkward going into the race. Lando, though, he was in a good opportunity to fight, still in the top 10. At least he didn't crash in, like, Q1 or something. And, like,
Yeah.
he was starting in the points. We start the race, and we had so much happen on lap 1. But we'll start with Yuki and Pierre crashing. Those little doofuses, they literally... What was going on back there?
Classic best friend moment.
Yeah, you and I.
Crashing each other out.
You and I, if we were on the F1 grid. You know what I mean? Like, they literally were just having, like, a little moment where it was like, well, where do you want me to go? I don't know. Where do you want me to go? Oh, I think we should crash into each other. Okay.
I feel like it was Pierre's fault. I'm coming out and saying it. I think it was Pierre's fault. He kind of got into the back of Yuki. I think it was Pierre's fault.
Just to hedge our bets, I'll say it was Yuki's fault. How about that?
That's fair. That's fair. But neither of them wanted to say it was the other person's fault when they did their post-race interviews. And I was like, hey guys, just so you know, this is your job. Like, just blame the other person, like, for funsies. But they were both like, yeah, no, I mean, I did the best that I could. I wouldn't say it was their fault. Like, I wouldn't say it was his fault. But, you know, like, I thought I was doing well, but, like, no, it's definitely not on them, you know? It's just kind of, like, one of those things that sucks that it happened.
I think it's maybe Pierre was looking out for Yuki because he has shared trauma with him. And he was like, I should just take this out because I'm not going to get fired from Alpine, but he could be fired from Red Bull.
Sure.
So he was like, I think I'm just going to not say it was his fault, even if it was, just because it's like, above all else, I want my homie to be employed.
You know what? That's very nice of Pierre. I do still think it was Pierre's fault.
Protect the bag. But then we also had, let's go. Oscar and Max, whoosh, off they go. Oscar gets Max on the start. However, Max misses a turn and goes off into the runoff and then gets a place back. To be fair, Oscar was also very far into Max's area and almost went off himself, but he didn't. So he then does the little radio and he goes, he needs to get the place back. And then safety car happens because Yuki and Pierre crash. I thought that Red Bull would just be like, okay, we'll give the place back under safety car and then try to get Oscar on the safety car restart. Or, like, just, like, race him. You know what I mean? See if I can get the place back by just, like, racing him. Instead, they're like, well, actually, Oscar pushed us off the track, so we're going to let the FIA decide. The FIA decides you get a 5-second penalty. I think that's worse than if he would have just, like, given the place back. Because you can't...
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you good night to the race then, because you're not going to get a 5-second lead on that McLaren. And I just, oh my God, I was so mad because I wanted just like I wanted them to fucking race, but instead they couldn't because they had to play strategy with this whole 5-second penalty. It was so dumb. I don't know, but Max was pissed. He doesn't think that penalty was fair. And he was pissed about it so much that he literally, like, refused to be part of this celebration on the podium. Did you see it?
I love that. I'm a big fan of, what is it, like, malicious compliance?
Mm-hmm. I love a temper tantrum on the podium. I'm not going to lie. I think it's funny.
When I saw the incident, I kind of thought that the FIA was going to wave it off, especially because it was, like, wasn't it turn 1? Or
I feel like
it was near the beginning. It wasn't turn 1.
They give, like, a pass, usually, at the beginning. Because they're, like, the chaos is, like,
and just
so
the fact
crazy.
that it was a 5-second penalty versus a 10-second penalty, which they were actively handing out, kind of, I know Christian Horner said it, and not to agree with Christian Horner, but it did kind of make me feel like, oh, maybe they weren't as close-minded on it. Like, maybe they weren't as sure. But I do think at the end of the day, it would have been smarter just to give it back precautionary because they said that they could race the McLaren. And I do think that they could have raced the McLaren had they given it back under safety car, but their own hubris got to them. I think you have to remember that you are messing with the FIA. Like, whether that's what it should have been called or not, at the end of
You're
the day,
messing with
you have to,
nonsensical people.
yeah, you have to take that into account and be like, okay, so we firmly believe that he pushed us off the track, whatever, what have you. You have to be like, what's the worst case scenario? A 10-second penalty that we might get, or giving the spot back when we didn't actually need to.
Yeah. And I think that that's what McLaren did last week when Lando went off while trying to pass Hamilton.
Lewis.
They just said, like, just give it back. Because they're like, we're not fucking with this. You know what I mean? Because, like, he already had a 5-second penalty that race. He didn't need another one. They were like, just give it back. It's not even fucking worth it. And he still passed Lewis, like, later on. Like, it's like, you have a fast car, you'll be fine. But I don't know. He kind of threw a little temper tantrum on the podium. He, like, wouldn't spray champagne on any of the other people on the podium. He stood off to the side and just took swigs of it like it was actually hard alcohol, even though they're in Saudi Arabia. So I'm pretty sure it
was rose water.
Right. So he, like, literally was, like, pretending like he was taking the edge off, but it's literally rose water. And then he goes up, he takes his silly little pictures, and then he leaves. And then the press was asking him about it, and he was like, I cannot say anything about how I feel because then, like, I'll get penalized by the FIA. So, like, I'm just not even going to say anything.
Which is probably true.
But, no, probably. Because I think, don't they have, like, a rule now where you can't, like, bully the stewards?
You can't criticize. Yeah. Which is so silly. I think Formula One needs to realize that they're a sport. Like, you need to realize that you're a sport made for entertainment. One of the best parts about sports is bullying the refs, bullying the stewards.
Like, I'm not saying, like, dox them. Like, don't give their full first and last name and their home address. I'm just saying, like, he should be able to say, like, I think the penalty was stupid.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. Frick you guys.
This is gonna be hard.
Frick you. I feel like that's what they should be able to do, but whatever. Max knows his limits, I guess, and he knew that he was probably gonna have to pay a fine if he talked about it. Can you talk a little bit about the Christian Horner thing?
Yeah, he showed up to the media with a color printout of a part in the incident that he felt that Max was ahead of Oscar. Take that as you will, and was taking it around to the media and just showing people and being like, one of the pictures I saw, he just had it on the table and was just he had his hands up in the air. He was like, what can I do? The proof is in the color picture that I printed out. Full color. It was full color picture.
No, that's the part where I'm like, okay, so I know you guys have the money for upgrades because I never once in my life have gotten a printer to print for me properly, no issues, full color.
Yeah. That was a nice
Are they also
printed printer.
Are they also sponsored by HP? And they just have to put the stupid logos on their jerseys?
They walked over to Ferrari and were like, can we borrow one of your printers? I have to make a point to the media.
I know this is going to be like $15,000 to print all this out in full color. I'll Venmo you.
Venmo you. We'll let you know what tires we're starting out on next weekend.
No, literally. Wait, was that this week? Or was that last week where Charles and Pierre gossiped?
It was last week.
Ugh. Man, that sucks that we didn't get to tell that story because it came out so late. But basically, if you didn't know, Charles and Pierre were talking in the driver's parade. And Pierre gets on the radio. Okay, so basically Charles told me that this is what Ferrari strategy is doing. I don't know what you guys are thinking about doing, but maybe we could do what they're doing because they're the fast car. Do you guys think we could adjust based on what my friend Charles said?
And the whole grid could hear that because it was open communication when they were in the car. And I think that's so funny. He just ratted them out immediately.
That is so funny.
Bless
Ferrari,
their hearts.
Speaking of Ferrari struggle, we also had a podium for Charles, his first of the year. And then we had Lewis finishing 7th. Lewis had a pretty rough qualifying. I'm pretty sure he qualified behind Carlos Sainz. So in 6th, finished 7th.
Hey.
That's probably not the direction you wanted to head, buddy.
That's not that bad.
I think you want to head the other direction, buddy.
You just expect me to overtake all these cars in front of me? That was a book from the F1 book or a line from the F1 book we read where it was just like, you're starting P10, and it was like, oh, well, what do you want me to do? Overtake all the cars in front of me to get to the front? Yeah. That's what Lewis said.
Yeah, I would do that probably. I don't know. It's getting really tough. Lewis out here to defend you.
But he's done fine the other weekends compared to Charles, though. So he's ended up ahead of Charles most weekends.
Is it fair to say they're both bad?
I think it's fair to say Ferrari is still Ferrari.
But, like, worse. Like, last year they were winning races by the end of the season. Well, like, the end of the season, the run they had, they literally had McLaren good. Shaking at their boots.
Well, and I'm sure that'll happen this year as well at the end of the season.
No, I know they're going to bring some monster-ass upgrade just so they can win Monza. And it's going to be like, why were we doing that the whole time?
And then it's going to disappear right after that. It's going to be like, this is a Monza exclusive. Dropping for one night and one night only.
No, they literally show up to Monaco and Monza. And they're like, yeah, we're going to win this, bitch. I'm like, what if we win all of them? Why are we doing this, like, just special edition version? Like, what is going on here? But they're apparently bringing floor upgrades to Miami. So maybe they'll, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So is Mercedes. I didn't know that.
It would be fun. I guess, like, just as somebody who's going to be at Miami, I think the party vibes would definitely be up if Ferrari won. I think people would be, like, flying. I think that, like, the clubs would be bumping.
Do you think that would bring the best vibes? Like, of all the teams that could win, what would bring the best party vibes after? Because I'm just thinking a double Williams podium would bring some pretty good party vibes. Alex and Carlos at the club.
Girl, I would be at that club till last call. The sun would be coming up, and I would still be in there partying. Party in the city with the break of dawn all night. Welcome to Miami.
Those are really close to the lyrics of the song.
Girl, the lyrics are whatever you want them to be. Speaking of double William podium, what do we feel about a double William WOINTS? WOINTS.
That was so big. We were watching, they kept showing Isaac hunting down Alex and Carlos, and I was like, what you don't know about Alex is when he drives, that car is 25 feet wide. You're not getting past him. And also, right.
They were doing the commentators. I love y'all so much at F1 TV. They said, they're actually doing a Carlos Sainz original here. He invented this in Singapore. What they're doing is the truck in tow is what they called it, where he's keeping Alex within DRS in order to make sure he stays in front of Isaac Hadjar and he cannot pass both of them.
Wow.
And I literally was like, the Carlos glaze never stops. He's literally an engineering god. He's literally a strategist galore. He's doing a Carlos Sainz original. I was like, I love Williams hype. It's so much fun.
It's so good.
Then James Vowles, he comes on F1 TV. His phone is blown up. Well, it's funny because he was like, my phone is blowing up. Everybody's calling me. He was like, I can't even do this interview. I got 3 phones and it's everybody just being like, whoa, Williams overtaking the world. And he was like, we're not just fast here. I think we've shown we can be fast anywhere. And I was like, double Williams podium in Miami.
It's happening. Did you hear Alex's radio? Where they were trying to tell him, like, how long until the person in front of him, and he was like, there's a car literally right behind me. Are we just, like, not going to worry about that? Or...
It was funny, too, because F1 TV, they asked James about that, and they were like, is that, like, a problem? Like, how Alex chooses to communicate on the radio? And he goes, I think it's a problem with us and how we communicate with him. Alex has never done anything wrong.
Okay, James Vowles is so good at love bombing and therapy talk. And first of all, I think I have a really...
Guys, she's really susceptible to love bombing.
And therapy talk. That's what James Vowles is. He's built of love bombing and therapy talk. I love Williams, but that man drives me nuts.
You and me going to the Williams fan zone in Miami. James I'm going to need you to be nice to MJ, but not too nice because she's very susceptible to love bombing.
Very susceptible to love bombing, which is how I got in this Williams boat in the first place.
I think that Williams is unstoppable. I think they're going to be definitely double podium in Miami. I think
you
Carlos
best be knocking on some wood.
Ow.
Perfect.
That
okay,
hurt.
careful over there.
Yeah, hooded. I do think it is interesting. Like, Carlos was like, I think I'm good now, by the way, guys. Hey, like, I think I figured everything out in the car. And I was like, okay, if you say so, I guess. He was like, I told you guys, like, 5 to 10 races, whatever. I think it was, like, however many this has been. 5? Oh, okay, perfect. Then it was the low end of the range. I'm actually perfect. It's all good. I know everything about the car now. I was like, love that energy. Keep it up, please. Please.
I'm here for it.
Please. But, yeah, that was so much fun. I love Williams. I love being a Williams fan. Don't ask me next time they race whether or not that's true, because it probably won't be.
We got to take the wins where we can get them.
We also had Haas team orders. What do we think about that?
I just thought it was cute. They were like, Esteban, let Ollie by. And I was like, I'm sure that's not going to cause any issues. I'm sure they were both pretty chill.
Really chill and normal about it. I think it was because Esteban, he took a pit stop under the safety car, and I don't know if they were trying to do a one stop. I guess I just didn't really follow his race that much, but basically him and Jack Doohan were on some fucked up tire situation, because I think they were expecting another safety car, so they like pit under safety car, put on hards, I think, and were going to go as long as they could, but then expected like another safety car in like the last 20 laps where they could put on softs and then like fuck people up. I think that's what the strategy was supposed to be, but then that didn't happen.
Idiot, stupid, dumb.
Hey, next time, probably don't be a dumb idiot head.
Cars can barely overtake. You think there's going to be an accident? You think someone by themselves is going to send it into a wall? Dumb, stupid.
Never happened before in the history of this race.
Name literally one time that has ever happened at this track. Stupid, dumb.
The dumbest strategy award goes to you idiots. You. Is this one of those clips that we can't post because you're going to tell me it's bullying?
Yeah. Dumb. Well, we'll just edit out that we're saying that to Alpine and Haas, and then it'll be fine. Okay. We can apply to anybody. We can reuse it every weekend.
Whenever somebody does dumb, send this to a friend. Send this to a friend when they're dumb. Dumb, idiot head.
Stupid.
Yeah. Speaking of like tire strategy situation, the last 2 laps, George was radioing and was like, yeah, those tires like hella falling apart. He was like, yeah, I can see the metal inside the tire. I don't know if that's a problem. And they basically told him, tell the tire no. They can't degrade without your consent.
Start whispering to the tires, bro. It works for everyone else.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. Be a tire whisperer. Because they were like, there's 2 laps left. You're going to have to make it work, buddy. And where was Kimmy? What was Kimmy up to? Didn't hear much from him.
Kimmy was right in front of Lewis Hamilton because they kept going, there's going to be a battle in 3 laps between Lewis and Kimmy. And then I had to explain all the lore to my family I was watching with. And then the battle never happened.
What was your family's impression of watching F1 with you?
I think they enjoyed it. They had a lot of questions. Very enthused by the DRS. They found it very amusing because they would be like, and they had the same rationale that I did when I first started watching F1. It's like, well, if it makes you go faster, just open it all the time. And so I had to be like, well, actually, there are stipulations to when you can open up your flaps. So that was pretty cool. And every time someone would open up their flaps, they'd be like, look, you saw the flap open? That was really nice. And then I think my older brother who watched was very fond of Oscar Piastri, specifically because he goes, I like that hat. That orange hat with the black in the back. He goes, I think I'd look really good in that. So now he's an Oscar Piastri fan. And my dad really liked Charles.
The team distributed hat.
Yep. He said, I could do without the monster logo, though. And I said, I'm sure they'll make them like that. We can find a way if that's what
So
you're
true,
interested
buddy.
in. And my dad really liked that Charles Leclerc looked like Harry Potter and kept trying to point out owls in the crowd. He'd go, look, there's an owl gonna bring him a letter. So
Were there owls in the crowd?
no, he's also not Harry. He's not a wizard, Andrea. He kept going, where's Legge?
Right. But where is Legge? Me.
Where is Legge? He goes, why did they leave Legge out there on mediums for so long? And I go, well, that's Ferrari. I was like, it could either be really good for him or really, really bad for him. That's how it happens every weekend.
They're gonna need to bring Legge in probably.
Yeah.
So Oscar ended up winning the race. So I'm sure your older brother was psyched. I know I was. Couple things. One, I just realized. So Legge is Leclerc. Pia is Oscar Piastri. Pia is also the name of my nail technician. My two favorite people, Pia and Pia.
Aw, wait, that's cute.
Yeah. Love you, Pia. Shout out. I know you don't listen to this pod because we've never talked about our personal lives, but anyways, I also loved when Oscar, this was a very interesting part of the race to me, when Oscar identified a specific apartment building that was like flashing a red light that looked too much like the red flag.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
And it did. It did. Like on the
It did.
onboard. I was right there with him.
But what's so funny is McLaren on the radio back to him made it sound like they were going to do something about it. They're like, we're on it. We're on what? You're going to go fucking knock on that apartment door and be like, hey, knock it off, buddy. You're scaring my driver out there. I don't know what the plan was.
What would they have done? Because it's not like an oval where you can like make an announcement. You can't be like, hey, stop flashing red lights at the drivers when we know that red lights is something that tells them to slow down immediately. Hey, maybe let's not do that. That was
as somebody that lives in a city too, like I'll drive on the highway and especially like at nighttime, there will be like, they have like all these fancy new apartment buildings that are like floor to ceiling windows right on like a highway. Girl, you can see everything in these people's apartments. And I'm watching TV on people's apartments. And now I'm thinking like, the drivers must see stuff like this while they're driving. Like they're driving by and there's like these apartments and they're like, what are you guys watching? What's going on in there? Especially like when they're kind of like zoned out, you know?
Yeah. They're just catching parts of like reality TV episodes that they haven't been able to watch yet.
Yeah, especially in Monaco too, like when they're going slow. They're like, oh, I haven't got this episode. Okay.
They're just like us.
Hang back a little, watch it. But yeah, Oscar ended up winning, and he is a stat they said many a times, like the first Australian since Mark Webber to lead the Drivers' Championship. He actually had a real life human reaction to winning. Guys, I'm so excited to report. He literally gave like a little like, woo, yeah.
He did. I was wondering if he was going to or not as he was getting out of the car. I was like, is he not going to cheer? How do I explain that to my family? Be like, oh, he's not an asshole. He's just like, he functions at a very low baseline. Not a lot goes on for Oscar.
Yeah, he's a little weird. Don't look at my friend like that. Okay, that's just how he operates.
That's just him.
But
he did a little celebration. Woo. It was cute.
And he is a back-to-back winner, too. Do you think he's going to do a Christopher Bell three-peat?
A triple? He's going to do the three-peat? Yep, I do.
What do you think that would be vibes-wise if he wins in Miami? I think the vibes will be a little off.
I was going to say, I think maybe instead of going out, we would just all stay in that night.
Oh, no, girl, I'm still going to be at the club. I'm talking about other people, you know what I mean? Because
I was
that's
thinking like
Lando's race.
Dude, what does that mean? Other people have won Miami, too. Max won Miami.
I love Max. Can we have a Max?
Max is not a grandstand or a bash.
Yeah, instead of Lando Lawn or Lando whatever, Lando Stand, whatever the fuck else we have. Can we come up with something cute and quirky for Max?
A Verstappen bash.
Okay, we'll think on it. Leave your comments below of what you guys think we should call the Verstappen hangout. We are having a Logan lawn. Me and MJ.
Yeah.
Nobody
Mostly
else is
me.
invited. Sorry.
Me and my Logan hat. Did you see the Logan update? Can we talk about it or no?
I didn't see a Logan update. Tell me about it.
You're just not tapped in. He
Sorry.
posted on his story the Aston Martin Valkyrie that he was test driving today. Which I don't think it's competing in any series right now, but it was him.
Yeah, it is. Well, that specific car, I don't know. But they are driving Valkyries in IMSA.
It didn't, I don't think it didn't look like a car that was competing, but he had his little suit on, he had his little helmet. What does it mean? Nothing until further notice. In this economy, I can't afford to get my hopes up.
No, so true. Well, I'm glad he took a little break from playing golf.
And yeah, being on his yacht and taking pictures of his watches.
All of the
I'm glad he still remembers how to drive.
That's so important. We have one more thing, F1, to talk about before we move on. The after race comments by Lando.
Oh.
Do we even want to talk about it? Is it even worth it? Or do we value our life too much, you know?
Maybe, okay, I'm not going to say anything directly about Lando's comments, but I'm just saying that McLaren looks quite fast throughout the entire weekend. And I don't think there's a car on the grid right now that I would say is pretty one-to-one with the McLaren. And I think it's crazy to insinuate that people are coming to the conclusion that the McLaren is fast because they are fast in practice. Those are things that I'm saying independently of anything anybody else has said.
Zach Brown said that the McLaren is only fast when it's hot out. And that's why at night races they don't do as well, even though they've won the last 2 night races. But he said, don't worry, girl, it's going to be hot in Miami.
He said, not a problem.
I said, wow, can't wait for you guys to finally do a McLaren 1-2.
Do you think Jack Doohan's going to get replaced before Miami?
Oh, I didn't know that was supposed to happen.
That was the rumor, is that he had until Miami. But I think he has done better than Pierre. I don't have the exact numbers, but I think he's done better than Pierre in most races.
I love you, MJ. I think that's a lie.
There's been 4 races that both cars have finished.
Oh, I guess so Pierre got disqualified. One of them.
And then he DNF'd one of them.
I'm gonna be honest, I just don't really watch Alpine like this. Like, I'm starting to realize my gap in information here because I don't really watch Alpine.
I only watch them because they're blue now, so I know where they are because Williams used to be blue. And so I see the blue and I go, I should be keeping after these guys.
I think that it would be interesting if they replaced him for, because they have a week off. They had a triple header. They weren't going to replace him in the middle of a triple header. Duh. Franco exists and is from the country of Argentina, which is in some ways closer to North America than Saudi Arabia. Maybe they'll replace him with Franco.
No, that's
really the only
good.
logic I got. That's the only logic I could have for why they would do it, is they'd be like, sorry, Jack, you understand. Argentina's a good...
You get it. It's for the
thousands
vibes.
of miles from here, but, like, you know, people might be interested in coming.
I don't think Alpine has enough of a justification. Not that any of these teams ever need a justification to do anything, but I don't think Alpine has enough to be like, Jack is the problem. And it's not our car and the fact that we just kind of really don't have the best drivers.
Anywho, IndyCar. The only thing we have is another Kyle Larson rule.
Let me consult my sources. It wasn't anything...
Instagram,
because that's where IndyCar decides to announce everything. Very professional. Very... My God, what if I lost the post? Okay, I found it. So we have new Indy 500 protocols. It's only going to affect Kyle Larson and TK this year. But basically, a team is only allowed to use a replacement driver if the replacement driver does like a refresher course, which I think it happens on the first practice day. They have to do the refresher course. They do not get any extra tires. They are not allowed to treat this as a data collecting session for the car. They just have to do the little refresher. If they pass the refresher, then they can be the backup in the car, as long as they don't do they are not on track for anything else for the rest of the week. So if Kyle Larson does the rest of the practices, he does qualifying, then if TK needed to, he can step in. If TK does the practice, then TK's in the car. Kyle Larson cannot race. Oh, and if they use a sub, so if TK goes in the car for Kyle, because Kyle has to get on down to Charlotte, that car has to go to the back of the grid to start.
Okay.
But, like, these
Kyle
rules,
Larson.
I mean, they make sense. I was telling you earlier, I was surprised that these weren't rules, because the double has happened before. Kyle Larson did not invent the double. Why didn't we have rules? I know. Kyle Larson didn't invent the double. He didn't invent NASCAR. He didn't invent crashing, coming back in, and then crashing again to alter the ending of the race. No, he did invent that.
Surely.
He might have, actually.
Did he invent crashing going into the pit lane?
Oh, that's a good one, too.
Got him!
Spinning on your own accord in the middle of a race. He didn't invent that.
We're just having a little giggle today, guys. Don't get mad. If you like Lando or Kyle, we forgive you. You don't have to get upset at us. I think that once you start making doing the double so logistically complicated that I am confused, it's no longer fun. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't want to be stressing about all of these different Kyle Larson rules while I'm trying to just enjoy him doing the double. And honestly, the vibe is a little off for me. And for those reasons, I no longer want Kyle Larson to do well in the double.
That's crazy. Okay, so Pierre does have more points.
By
obviously.
Having more than 0.
Right. But I can't tell where they've finished.
One of them finished in the points.
Right. But if that happened in one race, then what does that mean? I still stand by what I said then.
I'm just fucking with you. I'm playing the YouTube commentator.
The YouTube commentator?
Commenter.
Oh.
Sorry.
I was like, we have a commentator on YouTube? I fear we are the commentators on our YouTube.
No, that's so true. Anyways, NASCAR. Nothing happened. The Xfinity race happened. It was a big bummer. It was a huge bummer for me. Katherine Legge did not qualify. She then was put in for somebody else on the same team who did qualify. They just were like, get out, loser. She's driving. And then she was in a crash pretty early on. I don't really know whose fault it was. Like, somebody did hit her bumper, but she was in their way.
She was not in their way. I firmly stand by the fact that she was going
that's
slower
what the commentator
than the other
said.
cars.
But we will say
the commentator also was caught on a hot mic being like she paid for her seat. As if last week we weren't glazing Kyle Larson for saying that he was just running all these rich kids to the ground, being miles in front of them.
Half the people in this series pay for their seat.
Right.
So it's like interesting
That's
that
the
you have
point
such an issue when she does it.
Racing. That's all it is now. Anywho.
And I think that's so that same commentator, they said she was in the way of him. That's why he hit her bumper. And then they also had this whole conversation of she had a lot of sponsors who really wanted to see her run this race. So she was like put in, like insinuating that she was there because of Elf, like paying for her way in, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Which they never say about any of the other drivers. I've never heard them say that about any of the other Xfinity drivers. If they were like saying shit like that about every car, I'd be like, yeah, okay. I get it. It's a bunch of rich people driving race cars, as the series is. Yeah. Period.
And they like had plenty of other people that crashed in this race that were like, they were like, oh, this person is like a multi-time modified champion, or like this person is like a multi-time champion in these other types of racing, whatever. But then they came to this race and they crashed. It happens. Why is it when Katherine Legge does it, it's like because she bought her way in and she sucks? Like, no fucking respect is ever put on her name. It's so fucking annoying. Ugh.
Yeah. But, Sawalich, she was traffic to him. He was, following the leader. She was going to be lap traffic. And basically, they were coming around the turn, and she slowed up quite a bit. He decided, instead of going to the bottom line, which was left, the inside line, which was left for him to go around her, which she left, like, it was there. The car in front of her used that same line to pass her. Just decided to go through her, which doesn't typically win many people races. I've actually never seen that successful before. I think something that a lot of people had issues with is she did, once she got driven through, ended up making contact with Casey Kane, who had come back for this race after being retired since, 2018. So I think a lot of people were upset, maybe more about that, and then they were just like, oh, it's a woman. That's the issue. The issue is it's a woman.
I think
nothing
it's
else.
Interesting. We saw something similar happen when Amber, is her name, I believe, got in a crash with Cletus and Arca. It's, unfortunate when, a woman is in a crash with, a fan favorite that's in a race. Hey, Katherine, babes, go ahead and turn the Instagram comments off.
She did. She turned the Instagram comments off. She turned the Twitter comments off. But I would like to point out, and this is maybe one of the only stats I will ever bring up, 100% of the other accidents that happened in the Xfinity race were men.
Huh. And there was a lot
Just
of them.
something
In
to
fact,
think
there was
about.
a massive crash at the end when they forgot how to put gas in cars.
This was crazy. This was their first weekend back at Rockingham, which you can take a train to.
I did see that. And I was
Isn't that lovely?
I do love me some public transportation.
I found that very endearing. And, the stands were packed. People were very excited about this. And they were also teasing a cup race there. But I was like, hey, guys, I got to be honest. I think maybe we should wait a minute on the cup race with how the Xfinity race went. But it just felt like there were quite a few incidents out there. Quite a few. A lot of them running out of fuel. Ended up an overtime finish, which Jessie Love won. And Jessie Love had the most endearing little celebration, did his little donuts, drove his little car up to where the checkered flag was, got out of, instead of getting out the window, I like when the Xfinity and the truck drivers do this, he gets out of the little hole in the top.
Gets out the sunroof. Pops out the sunroof.
Slides down the windshield in the hood. Very
like a
cute.
little kid, yeah.
It was very cute. Gets his little flag, starts to take off his helmet, goes to put it in his car, and his car is rolling down the banking. Rolling straight down the hill. And he turns to the cameras and goes, that's not good.
Forgot to put it in park, buddy.
He goes, that's not good. And just carries on. But he actually got disqualified because of... He did.
The timing in that delivery was crazy, MJ.
He got disqualified. That's how we found out, too.
Anyways.
He got disqualified. So, Sammy... Is
he the one
something.
who...
Smith. Sammy Smith. From my hometown boy.
Is he the one that caused the... He acted up while there was a sub, and they had to have a little meeting with all the Xfinity drivers and be like, yes. You guys have no respect.
You guys have to behave better, or else we're going to bring Kyle Larson down, and he's going to embarrass you.
He's going to whoop your little booties until you cry at yourself to sleep in your mama's bed, okay? Because he has had it with your lack of respect. Now, don't make Austin Hill stand up here and tell you guys about respect, okay? He's got his own children to raise because he's 45 years old and still in Xfinity.
God.
Was that good?
That was really good. I felt like I was there.
Thank you.
I felt like a scared paid Xfinity driver. But yeah, Sammy Smith won. Do we feel good about that? No. I liked it when Jessie Love had won. They haven't said whether or not they're going to appeal, so we'll probably hear that in the next couple days. You know how they like to work on Tuesdays. We'll probably hear it on Tuesday.
I think that Jessie Love, I like him by proxy of liking Connor Zilic. Like, yeah. he gets the benefit of being, that's Connor's friend. It's like I'm like a mother, and I'm like, well, that's my son's friend from school, so I want him to do well.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Also, let's talk about Connor's race. He did start on pole position. And then, unfortunately, due to some circumstances outside of his hands, I believe it was a tire situation, he did have to start the race at the back of the grid, which is actually opposite of where he qualified, which was maybe the most advantageous position to start in. He went from the most advantageous to maybe one of the most disadvantageous.
I will say, however, he worked his way up, and he did not let these trials and these tribulations get the best of my son. He has the attitude. He is a cup half full type of guy.
He is a winner in our hearts.
However, it doesn't matter. He didn't win.
He did not win. He also got spun in the middle near the end, about 30 minutes from the end. Because I skipped to the 30 minutes from the end because I was like, this guy stinks. Anyways, about 30 minutes from the end, he did get spun, but he saved it. It was beautiful. He is so good at driving. Him and Jesse Love are so good at driving.
They're really good at driving.
They're really good at driving. And they have really great attitudes, which I think is something
that Kyle Larson cannot be out of that boy.
That's not what I was gonna say, but it's just, even when Connor gets, I don't know, maybe absolutely demolished by two of his teammates when he's racing in Coda with Trackhouse, he still got out of the car and was like, that was the most fun I've ever had. Sucks that happened, but can't wait to do it again. And I just think that that's a good attitude for maybe anybody in any racing series to have.
Wait, when is his next cup race?
Is he racing in Mexico? Am I making that up?
Hello? Has no more cup races planned for this year. What? The Coke 600. The Coke 600.
Oh, duh.
He's
just right around the
triple.
corner. He's doing the triple. He's going to do
Monaco, and then Indy 500, and then the Coke 600.
Coke 600.
You heard it here first. Audience. Yeah, you need a good attitude for driving a Trackhouse car at this point in time, so I hope he's ready for whatever that might hold for him. Maybe they'll figure out how to do tires before then. Next week we have Talladega. How excited are we? Have you watched Talladega Nights yet?
No, but I'm planning on watching it this week. My brother and my dad at the Easter table, we were actively watching the race while we were having Easter brunch / lunch. And my brother had asked if they were going to refuel. And I was like, no, you can't refuel. If you want to refuel, you have to go into your little garage or whatever. And my dad brought up that he's seen some guys on fire before, invisible fire. And my brother immediately goes, oh, like in Talladega Nights.
Right.
When Ricky Bobby's on invisible fire. So I know that happens. A little spoiler, but.
Yeah, can't wait for you to watch it. Are you going to watch it before we go live? Are we going live next week? Maybe. I don't know.
I sure would assume so.
Whenever I talk to you next, we'll talk about your Talladega Nights viewing experience. Maybe they'll put it on the Tubi channel. Probably not. They don't have the rights to that movie. But maybe they'll stream it illegally. It'll just be a video on the Tubi channel of somebody recording a
with
computer
a
screen.
camcorder quality.
Yeah, that would be funny. They just pirate Talladega Nights for the Tubi channel. So cannot wait to see you guys next week. We're not going to have any F1. We're not going to have any IndyCar. It's just going to be Talladega. But I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about.
Talladega.
Because it's a super speedway race, right? So that means we'll have lots of drama. There will probably be something officiating problem. There will be something to talk about.
I don't know if I don't know if I care enough about a super speedway race. And I think it might be because I'm a big fan of Ryan Preece. And I know how those super speedways treat my man Ryan Preece.
I think he's going to have a stomach bug and have to sit that one out.
Dude, is that an option? We could put someone else in there? I'll do it. Sub me in. I could do exactly what Kyle Larson can do.
On a drifting track.
You want to see me send it into a wall? I can.
What is it? Yeah, I think you versus Kyle Larson
on like at like Daytona 500 could do the same thing probably.
Oh, for sure. Me and him at what was it? It wasn't Darlington. Was it Darlington? Yeah,
Where he
Darlington.
spun twice. Yeah, because he was in his
I can
throwback
do
car.
that.
You could also probably do the same as him at the Indy 500, which is not show up. I'm just kidding.
Which is just wait around.
You're his sub.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, do you want to say bye?
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.